Have you ever asked yourself if you just owned individual companies, some of the top performing companies in an ETF like VOO or SCHD, how that would help your portfolio outperform without the bottom stocks in the ETF pulling your returns down? What would a portfolio look like if you only owned those top companies? In this case, you might be a blue chip investor. And what you're looking at right now is my free investing style quiz. So being a blue chip investor, investing in those individual stocks over an ETF or an index is going to give you a little bit more risk than just owning an ETF. Hey guys, my name's James and I'm a licensed engineer and I really enjoy investing in the stock market. Now my journey in the stock market began with my first company's 401k. My engineering and analytical background, it really helped me understand some of the key aspects of the stock market. And my goal with this YouTube channel is to help you become a better and more responsible self-investor. And today I wanted to talk to you about the 5 reasons that the blue chip companies might possibly outperform owning individual ETFs. And today's video is brought to you by Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha, in my opinion, is the best stock investing website. It has really good insights with a premium version. You can read any article and as many articles as you want. And when you go to the individual stock page or individual ETF page, it gives you pretty much any insight on that stock that you want, especially with the premium version. And it even has individual articles about the stock or ETF that you're looking at. And with the premium version, you can see some of the ratings from the Seeking Alpha analysts, Wall Street, and Quant. Also, you have investing groups, which are separate from the premium subscription. Inside the investing group, you have individual groups themselves that you can subscribe to. And then also outside of the investing groups and premium, you also have a chance to look up the alpha picks. It is a separate subscription, but they do give you picks that they have claimed to outperform the S&P 500 by almost about 80%. So enough with the sponsor of today's video. Let's get into taking a look at the top 11 blue chip companies in the stock market in each sector and how they compare to investing in individual ETFs. What you're looking at here is my portfolio builder for my spreadsheet over on Patreon. And I know if this is the first time looking at it, it can be a little bit confusing, but anything in the yellow highlighted boxes is the things you can change, and anything in the green boxes will change based on what you put in the yellow boxes. So here are the 11 blue chip companies I wanted to look at today, and they're the top performing blue chip companies in each individual sector. In the information technology sector, we have Apple. In the healthcare sector, we have Johnson & Johnson. In the financials sector, we have JP Morgan. In the consumer discretionary sector, we have Amazon. In the consumer staples, we have Procter & Gamble. In the energy, we have ExxonMobil. In the utilities, we have NextEra Energy. In the industrials, we have Caterpillar. The real estate, we have American Tower. And in the materials sector, we have Rio. And then in the telecommunications sector, we have T-Mobile. Now, when you think of Apple, obviously you think of the iPhone. When you think of Johnson & Johnson, I want you to think of the healthcare sector, or more importantly, vaccines. When you think of JP Morgan, I want you to think of Chase Bank. When you think of Amazon, obviously you think of the Amazon website and very fast shipping. When you think of Procter & Gamble, I want you to think of some of the home care and family care products such as Bounty, Head & Shoulders, and Dawn dish soap. When you think of ExxonMobil, very clearly we think about the gas stations that we fill our cars up at. When you think of NextEra Energy, I want you to think of battery storage, wind energy, solar, nuclear energy, and any type of transportation of that utility to residential and commercial buildings. When you think of Caterpillar, I want you to think of big building equipment. And when you think of the American Tower Corporation in the real estate sector, I want you to think of the real estate that the cell towers are actually on. American Tower doesn't own the towers themselves, but they do own the real estate for these towers. And when you think of Rio, I want you to think of the individual products that are mined from the earth to be able to go into your iPhone or household products. And last but not least, when you think T-Mobile, I want you to think of the actual cell service, not the physical phone. So these are the 11 blue chip companies that I have found to outperform their peers in each sector. And in this spreadsheet, I've taken the information from Seeking Alpha for their dividend yield. And then if we choose this drop down here, 1, 5, or 10-year cumulative annual growth rate, it'll give us the growth rate over the past 10 years each year, meaning Apple has grown about 25% per year on average over the last 10 years. And then the 10 remaining blue chip companies have grown this much. And then we have an average down here of the average growth of these 11 companies, which is sitting around 11.82%, and the average dividend yield of these 11 companies. And since we have an equal weighting of all these companies equaling about 100%, this is the expected growth that you could have expected over the past 10 years per year, about 11.82% with a 2.6% dividend yield. So a cumulative yield or growth would be sitting around that 14 or 15% if you added these two together. So what does that look like if you had $1,000 10 years ago, adding $500 a month into that portfolio? Well, 10 years later, that would equal your $1,000 with $500 a month would equal $141,000 with dividends reinvested, or $127,000 without dividends reinvested. So keep these numbers in mind, 11.82 and 2.59. If we were to remove our blue chip companies in our holding and have a 50% portfolio of VOO and a 50% of our portfolio in SCHD, over the past 10 years, that would only give us a 9% growth rate and a 2.48% average dividend yield if you had a 50-50 portfolio VOO and SCHD. So this actually underperforms these 11 blue chip companies. If you recall, it was about 11 to 12% growth rate for an average of these 11 companies and a 2.5 to 2.6 dividend yield for these 11 companies. Now here are the 5 reasons I believe blue chip companies outperform individual ETFs. So the 5 key points that I think help these blue chip companies outperform individual ETFs. Number 1 is going to be the financial stability and strength of these 11 companies. So these blue chip companies are known for their strong balance sheets, their robust cash flow, and they keep their debt to a minimum. They often have a history of stable and growing revenue and profits, and their financial stability, it allows them to weather some of the economic downturns such as 2014, 2018, and 2021. Number 2 is their market leadership. So usually these blue chip companies are going to have really strong CEOs or really strong leaders. In these companies, they're going to gain a significant market share, and they're recognized as some of the industry giants. And their dominant position, it gives them a pricing power and a competitive advantage over some of the smaller companies that are at the bottom of these ETFs. Number 3, they would produce a long track record of performance. So these blue chip companies, they have a proven track record of delivering consistent performance over the long term. They typically have a history of paying a dividend, most of them, to their shareholders, and they increase their dividend over time. So this is a sign of financial health and a very good confidence in the management. Number 4 would be a strong brand recognition. So like I said, when you think of Apple, you immediately think of iPhone. When you think of JP Morgan, you immediately think of Chase. And when you think of Caterpillar, you immediately think of the yellow big building pieces of equipment. So these blue chip companies, they have well-established brands that are widely recognized and even trusted by the consumers. So this strong brand helps them build loyalty. They attract new customers, and it helps them differentiate themselves between other competitors. And then last but not least, number 5, the 5th reason why you would want to invest in a blue chip company or individual stock instead of an ETF is most blue chip companies are going to have a large market capitalization. So the 11 companies on this list, most of them had a market capitalization over 200 to 300 billion, and a few of them had around 100 billion. So that's the 5 reasons I would choose a blue chip company over an individual ETF. You are accepting a little bit more risk that something were to happen to this company. you would lose a little bit of gain, and you might have to exit that company and enter another company that's outperforming. Whereas if you were to invest in an individual ETF, somebody else is doing that for you. So that's the 5 key reasons: financial strength and stability, market leadership, a long track record of performance, strong brand recognition, and a large market capitalization. Head down into the comments and let me know what you thought of my 11 blue chip companies and the 5 reasons I believe that they can outperform an individual ETF. If you're interested in seeking alpha, the link will be in the description. And also, if you're interested in my Self-Investors Workbook, it is offered over on my Patreon page, and I do have video instructions for each individual spreadsheet. And with that, thanks for watching.